This week on Edmunds Live, I'm joined by Mike McGrath, Aaron Riches, Scott Oldham, and Ed Helwig. The big story this week started off with the Cadillac CTS VSport. This is sort of the car that slots underneath the eventual Cadillac CTS V, as well as the regular V6-powered CTS. The numbers of the track were very impressive. 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds. 420 horsepower twin-turbo V8. Handling was really exceptional as well. So impressive numbers, but will Cadillac buyers be impressed?
I think the V-Sport is kind of the car that they really need. I mean, the biggest problem with CTS has always been it was sort of right in between the 3 and the 5, which I'm not sure why Cadillac was trying to wedge themselves in that little position. But now it's like legitimately a 5 Series size, and it's got the performance. It's a good-looking car, so I don't see why this won't do well. It seems like it's hitting all the right marks, so I think it'll do much better than the previous CTS.
And this V-Sport model line too hits a nice middle ground. Audi has their S, which is right below the RS, which Cadillac just had the normal one and then the bonkers V. And this one is for guys and girls who want to go quickly but may not want the full Nürburgring experience that those V cars offer.
The unfortunate part about that test, though, is as good as those numbers are, the acceleration numbers are off on that car. And the shocking part about it is that we tested that car at GM's Milford Proving Grounds with every engineer, GM employees there calibrating the car, working with the car. Obviously, it's an automatic sedan without a huge traction problem. And that's what the car would run. 5.1. They say it should run something like 4.4. And after a couple hours of testing and not getting the car to go faster, they just kind of went, that's it, let's move on. So we moved on. A strange occurrence there, but if it's going to go faster, wouldn't it go faster at the proving grounds with all the engineers there to tell you not only how to drive it, but to change the car's calibrations for the better. So, unfortunate. We'll test another one soon.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the most encouraging things is just that it's lighter than the 5 Series. Like, that was something.
What isn't?
It's well,
It definitely helped with the ATS. The ATS was much lighter than any other previous car is lighter than 3 Series, and you can feel that when you're driving it. So hopefully that same feeling goes through the
Well,
CTS.
5 Series are heavy.
Well,
yeah, they are,
I was
but
making a
they're
joke.
still kind of the standard for that class, and I think this is encouraging. At least, maybe it'll feel good going around turns. Even if
I disagree. I'd rather drive a Jag XF than a 5 Series.
well, moving on to other.
Does anyone disagree with that?
Then a 550?
I'd rather drive an XF, but we do need to
would you
move
rather
on
drive
here.
An
I
XF
do. I
supercharged or a 550?
Put the 550 seats in the XF supercharged, and
That big hook they have.
I love
on
the
Our
the
XF.
XF was
Yeah,
full of
yeah.
rattles
I'd take
after
this
20,000 miles. I'd never buy that.
It was what?
Full of rattles.
It was not.
Felt like a used car after 20,000
It was a used car.
It felt really
You're
used.
crazy.
Last week in the shadow of Frankfurt, GM released information and photos on its new full-size SUVs, the Tahoe, Suburban, and the Yukons. Same platform as the trucks, same V8 engines, different interior this time. What do we think? I know you, Mike, really loved the look of these big trucks.
yeah, the front is overdone, and from the A-pillar back, they just stopped trying. But the looks are almost irrelevant. These things are gonna sell $1 billion an hour because people still want big trucks, they still have families, they still have gear to haul, and if these things have the same powertrains as the trucks, which they do, they're gonna be really good buys for anyone who needs it.
Fold flat third row, which is
Yeah.
really important. You no longer have to lift it out and put it somewhere. That's
Yeah.
especially important in the Tahoe.
Especially in the
And it was
two-row.
way wrong in the last generation. They finally addressed it.
But the real news hasn't even come out yet, which is the Escalade. And the interior is now finally completely different than the Chevy and the GMC. We saw those spy shots, and it's a
Yeah.
full caddy interior.
Yeah, it's got the Q system and all
Exactly.
those
Yeah.
design
That may not be
details.
That's
which-
going to be finally
That may
something.
be a problem.
yeah, not the greatest thing, but the rest
Well,
of it
I'm
should
just
be
saying
nice.
it's just not cookie cutter anymore.
Well, let's get to the lightning round. And Ed, our latest Corvette versus the world comparison went up this week. I wrote the story, but hey, you get the question. Would you want the C7 or the M3?
I really like the C7 a lot. It is really a fantastic car, but I think every day, if I had to drive one of the two, I'd still take the M3 because that car is still fantastic in its last year of production.
As would I. Aaron, what was your favorite car in Frankfurt? The auto show, not just the city.
I really liked that Volvo concept coupe. I mean, it was really subtle, but it had just enough from the P1800 to make it interesting. They could conceivably build it because it actually is built on the new architecture. Will they? Probably not, because they can't make money on cars in the U.S.
Mike, you drove a Mercedes E63 Wagon this week. If I gave you 100 grand, would you buy one?
This is my first time saying this about an E63 wagon. No, I wouldn't.
Oh. You may expand, briefly, but you may expand.
Mandatory all-wheel drive is dumb, and it looks stupid from the front.
What would you buy instead?
For that money, I'd rather have an E63 coupe if I had to go Mercedes, but reasonable.
Wagon. It's got to be wagon-esque. You're buying a wagon for a reason.
It's not really an option.
X5M CTS-V.
Ooh, yeah, that's still around.
Yeah, CTS-V, and you can get it with a manual.
Similar line. Scott, you drove a Jaguar F-Type V8S. Would you buy one?
Yeah, I would like that car quite a bit. It'd be hard not to get a 911, and it would be hard not to get a Corvette, and it would be hard not to get other stuff too. But the car's certainly worthy of that price. It feels special.
All right, let's get to our social media minute. Let's bring in Claire on Skype. Claire, what do you have for us this week?
Hey guys, so this week I have a question posted on Facebook from Philip Wager. He's asking, is it a smarter buy to get a loaded compact car or a middle-range midsizer, and why?
Aaron, what do you think?
This is something you and I have talked about a lot, and I always want more space, so I'd get the midsize car and just go with a bit less equipment.
Fair enough. Anybody disagree?
I think that's true.
No, that's smart. I mean, especially if you're talking the smarter buy, because eventually if you're going to sell it, you're going to do better with a mid-range. A mid-sized car than some loaded-up small car. That
Those expensive options never pay off when you go to sell it. So,
Right. Yeah.
All right, Claire, what's next?
So the next question I have, Facebook user Samuel Allen wants to know what your favorite long-term car is in the fleet.
I think we can open up that. Mike?
the one that Aaron and I split the drive to New York and back with, our long-term Porsche 911 Cabrio. It's a non-S, doesn't have a manual, but it's faster than you need a car to be, and it's just a really, really nice car.
My favorite long-term car just went back to Mercedes, our SLS Roadster. I drove it a ton, drove it to South Dakota and back in the winter. I had a great time in that thing.
Ed, what about you?
I actually really like the Silverado. I mean, it's it's not a super expensive car like some of the others, but for a truck, it's amazingly refined when you drive it around. I mean, it's so quiet inside. The steering is good. The suspension is great, and yet it can do all the truck stuff. So I really actually enjoy driving it quite a bit.
And I'm always surprised how much I like our Focus ST when I get back into it. Because, I think for me, the Recaro seats are really comfortable. They're a little confining, but once you're in them, they're very comfortable. And, it's just amazing to me, like, how good the steering can be, and yet it rides so nice.
She's right. I signed that out tonight, in fact, just because I want to remind myself how much I like it.
Claire, what else do you have?
So that's all the questions I have for this week, but if you want to be a part of the show, we're always looking for questions. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thanks, Claire. That's it for this week. See you next week on Edmunds Live. Thanks, guys.